They may be conducted on different terms. They may be conducted on different terms. It may impact other businesses. May impact other businesses. Therefore, disclosure is required. Therefore, disclosure in the notes is required. We want to be complete. We want to be transparent. We want to be understandable. We want to be true and fair. If we are going to engage, if we are going to make if we are going to be true and fair, we want the users to understand our situation. So that means we are making disclosures of related party transactions. We are ethical. We've got nothing to hide. So we should be making these disclosures. Part of related party transactions, a big part of related party transactions, is surely about the identification of related parties. It's about the identification of related parties. Now, when we think about who related parties are, I don't really want to start talking about my wife's family anymore. So we have to think who is related to the company. Now, I think 3 out of 4 of these are fairly straightforward. I think 3 out of 4 of these related parties are relatively logical. Who is related? Who's related to the company? Who's connected to the company? Directors. Now, I'm not going to write down the word director, because director is a legal term. And actually, I want to be in substance, so I need to have a wider terminology. I'm going to say key management. Key management. Yeah? Now, key management will include directors, but it will also include shadow directors. It will also include a company treasurer. It will also include people who are contracting on behalf of the company. So I will say here, key management. Key management. And that would include directors. That would include directors. That would include senior staff. Company secretary. I guess anyone who's a signatory to the bank account. Anybody who can bind the company into contracts. But you know what? It's even wider than key management. Because it will include not only the key management, but their brother, their sister, their siblings, their parents, their children. Yeah? Including close family members. Who's on the payroll? Of course, the director's on the payroll, but is the director's brother, sister, uncle, aunt, parent, cousin on the payroll as well? That will also therefore be a related party transaction. Key management. Because the directors are able to influence the company. If you think of the company as someone who is vulnerable, they need protecting. So if one of these bullies causes the transaction to occur, then we need to be transparent, open about it. Excellent. Who else is related apart from key management? Associates are here. Yes, I use the word directors influence the company, and so do associates influence as well. let me broaden it out to groups. Any member of the group, yeah? Any member within the group. So that means you are related to your parent. You are related to your subsidiary. You are related to your associate. You are related to your joint venture. You are related to your fellow subsidiary. Other members of the group are related. Now, related parties are a two-way street. If I am related to my father, then by definition my father is also related to me. So the sub is related to its parent, and the parent is related to its sub. Yeah? The investor is related to the associate, and the associate is related to the investor. So what we've got here is a right mix, because sometimes it's about control, and sometimes it's about influence, and sometimes it's about joint control, and sometimes it's about common control. But there's a power in the relationship somewhere. Who else is related to the company, apart from other members of the group and apart from the management? Who else might have leverage over the company?
Customers, suppliers.
Investors, yeah. Shareholders. Shareholders. Now you've got to be a little bit careful with shareholders, because not every employee is a related party. The janitor is not a related party. The salesman is not a related party. You have to be senior management. You have to be able to influence the company, therefore to be a related party. So it's not all shareholders, it's shareholders who can influence the company. Yeah? So the assumption there would be 20%. So we've got here shareholders who would have significant influence. Shareholders who would have significant influence. In other words, that is presumed to arise at 20%.
Members, we can say that.
Sorry?
Members, we can say.
Yes, a shareholder is a member is a shareholder. Yes, correct? You are correct in the terminology there. So shareholders, members who have a significant influence. The one you probably wouldn't get is a pension fund. The one that you wouldn't get is a pension fund. So transactions with a pension fund are related parties. What's key is there is control or joint control in the relationship. What's key is there is significant influence. Or what is key is there is common control. So what makes a related part, what makes you related, what's special about the relationship is that I control you or you control me. I have joint control over you or you have joint control over me. I influence you or you influence me. Or we're both subject to the same parent. We're both subject to common control. If we have a director who is a director of two companies, that does not per se make the two companies related. The director is of course related to each company he is a director of, but just because somebody is a director of two companies does not automatically mean that those two companies are related for related party transactions. They might be if they're members of the same group. So just a couple of points of detail. Just a couple of points of detail. Couple of points of detail. Having a director in common, does not automatically mean the two companies are related parties. We are going to disclose related party transactions. Now, transactions need not involve money. One very common related party transaction is the director guarantees the bank overdraft of the sub. If the parent or the director guarantees the bank overdraft, that is a transaction. There's no debit, there's no credit, but other shareholders, other loan creditors, other users are now aware of the fact that the subsidiary's liability to the bank has been guaranteed, and that is a piece of useful information. So, for example, a guarantee. But transactions not only include sales, purchases, leases, loans, but guarantees, and guarantees don't include an exchange of cash. Materiality. When you're dealing with directors, when you're dealing with staff, you've got to consider materiality from their perspective, not from the perspective of the company. So you've got to think about materiality in an absolute sense. If you're looking at the accounts of Patronus, the figures are enormous. You know, the level of materiality for Patronus, I don't know what it is, millions, all right? But a transaction with a key member of staff, with a key member of management, you've got to think about materiality from the person's point of view, not from the company's point of view. That's always the case with staff. That's always the case with directors. You've come across that, I'm sure, when you've looked at auditing and materiality. When we're dealing with directors, we become very sensitive, and we think about materiality from the point of view of the individual rather than the company. Because obviously things which are immaterial don't get disclosed. So materiality is considered from the perspective of the individual. Materiality is considered from the individual's perspective. From the individual's perspective. So materiality is considered from that angle. Disclosure. So materiality is considered from the individual's perspective. What are the basic nature of your disclosures? Well, you would disclose the nature of the transaction. It was a loan. You would disclose the amount of the transaction. It was a loan of $10,000. You would disclose the year-end balance. You would disclose the nature of the related party. So we lent $10,000 to a director. We traded with a subsidiary and sold them goods of $50,000. So you are disclosing the nature of the transaction, the amount of the transaction, any year-end balance, the nature of the related party, and you would disclose any amounts written off. You would disclose any amounts written off. So if you are, as a company, just kind of giving it to them, then I'm afraid that needs to be disclosed. Call it 6.